right, good afternoon. We will go ahead and start the August 18th meeting of the Technical Review Committee. And my name is Pat McNeese. I'm the principal planner. And we have our department members here for the TRC. This is a chance for all the departments to meet with applicants and talk through projects in preparation to take them forward in the process. The TRC reviews, provides comments, and determines whether an application is complete and ready for further processing. The public is welcome to observe the TRC meetings, but does not provide comments or questions. We have the agenda up on the stanchion up there at the end of this middle aisle, and also a stack of my cards. I'll be glad to answer any questions or meet with anyone outside the meeting on this project. We have some hand sanitizers around. We recommend wearing masks in the auditorium or social distancing. And the applicant, we only have one item on the agenda today, will be using the podium down here. And with that, I'd like to have TRC, and this meeting is being recorded and live streamed and will be available on the YouTube channel. So I would ask staff to please use their microphones. And with that, again, my name is Pat McNeese. I'm the principal planner, and I'd like to start at the end and have you introduce yourselves.
I'm Officer Anthony Boone with the Tarpon Springs Police Department.
Good afternoon. Nick Macris, Project Supervisor in the Project Administration Department.
Rick Kinney, Fire Marshal.
Renee Vincent, Planning Director.
Ray Page, Utility Superintendent.
Cisco Papez, Utilities Maintenance.
Heather Frendell, Water Distribution.
Megan Araya, Floodplain Coordinator.
Lisa Godwin, Plans Examiner.
Keith Mead, Deputy Building Official.
Okay, thanks. And we'll take our one item, which is in the Anclote Harbor Final Plan Development Application. Is there anything the applicant would like to present or say or ask before we go through comments?
Thank you, Ms. McNeese. My name is Cindy Terrapini. I'm one of the representatives for the applicant Morgan Group. Also with me today are the applicant's attorney, Ed Armstrong, and the client, who's the developer for Morgan Group. His name is Camille Salome. Many of you have met both of these folks previously. I'd also like to let you know that we do have both the project engineers for the site as well as the designers of the utility system and the off-site road improvements. So if you have specific questions for those folks, we'd be happy to have them come up and answer questions. And also the traffic engineer is here as well. And then I just want to clarify one thing. It appears to me from the agenda and from what I understood the process would be that today's TRC is solely to discuss the final development plan. Is that correct, Ms. McNeese?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure because there's some incorrect information out there on social media, so I just want to make sure, since we've already had the TRC for the other pending applications, that today we're going to focus only on the final development plan.
And I assume you're referring to social media other than the city.
It is not the city's social media.
Okay,
It has the
good.
incorrect
Just
information.
if there's a mistake, we'd like
Yes.
to know.
No, it's not on the city's website.
Thank
no.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. So, yeah, and just to kind of further elaborate on the application before us today. So this is a final plan development application. And it was submitted concurrent with the preliminary plan development application. And the applicant has asked that the final plan development application before us be reviewed based on that newly submitted preliminary plan application, not on the preliminary plan development that was approved in January. So I hope that's clear. That's what we're doing today. And the applicant also asked that we refer to some of those preliminary plan submittals, especially the land use planning report, and some other items for this review. One item as far as the actual checklist of submittal, I didn't see in the digital the survey, so I'd like to confirm with the applicant that the survey submitted for preliminary will be used for the final, and we will add that to your final development plan application. That was the only item I saw that was missing.
Yes,
So-
the boundary tree and wetland surveys were attached in the rezoning application section. If you want us to put it
Right.
into the FTP on the resubmittal, we can't. It's the same.
I just
same
need,
document.
I can't move things into your application without your permission, so it's just the boundary survey. If it's okay with you, I will add that to your final plan development packet.
You may, and it's item
Okay.
B3. It's one document that includes the boundary, the tree, and the wetland surveys all in one electronic document.
Okay. And I may have missed it, but I did not locate a hard copy of the off-site force main plan. If we could get,
That I clearly remember folding because they're
Okay.
ginormous.
I will look again. I looked through all the boxes.
The off-site road might have been the 11 by 17. I think
Yes.
the off-site utilities were the thicker ones, but
11 by 17? Okay, I'll look
I,
again. I've got the road one. That's okay. If we don't have it, I'll let you know. But
okay. I mean,
did
I
hard
checked
copies of
everything twice. I'm 99% sure we submitted it, but I'm happy if you need another paper copy, we can do that.
Okay, great. As far as planning comments, obviously, there are several comments in the preliminary plan development, and I actually realized when I reviewed this week that I picked up the big plan set when I was doing the preliminary, so some of the stuff I said in that actually refers to this. But really, all those items would need to be addressed one way or the other for final plan. So if I refer to a sheet in that last round of comments, it's really in this plan set. That it's just an item to be addressed. There were a few more things, and some of it's minor notes and things that I've noted on the plans. Just a couple of highlights, though, and that would be the sheet C100 notes primary and secondary wetland impacts. I think what that actually is impacts to the buffer. I'm not sure. So you've got the two. If you could just check that figure and clarify it, maybe use a little bit different graphic fill to clarify what you're trying to get across on that figure. The primary have the two small wetlands that are being impacted, and then there's a secondary shown along the silt fence. I believe what you're referring to is impacts to the buffer, not to actual wetlands. That's what it graphically looks like. Yeah, just some minor corrections of things. The other thing I would say is the roadway construction. That's going to be predicated, obviously, on the traffic study that you have to do for DOT and on DOT approval of the configuration. Normally we would have those final layouts at final plan development, but I know the DOT process can be a long, complex process. So we would just caution the applicant that really any changes in configuration would have to come back as an amendment, could possibly come back as an amendment to the final plan development or to the plan development. Yeah, we had already provided comments on tree planting and some of the figures and clarifications we'd like to see. Shannon's not here today, so if you need clarification, we can provide that. And then we saw that you added a lighting plan. We just need a detail on the traffic control signage. So again, these are minor things to make this a full, really site plan submittal. One question I have is on the construction notes. You've got a pretty detailed construction sequence. Will there be any fill delivered to the site? If so, just curious, you probably don't know the estimated amount of truckloads, but just curious what that general source will be and what the truck routes will be for fill delivery to the site. Probably, I'm assuming from Pasco if you're getting fill down 19, but great if you could answer that.
Artie Cintron with Kimley Horn. In regards to the site, there is no, it's not a fill site where we'll be removing soil from that site. We're generally going to try to balance as much as we can. Through the digging of the ponds, we'll utilize it on site as well.
Okay, it
So-
seemed like you mostly had it on
Yeah.
site, so great.
Yeah, as far as the truck route, that hasn't been coordinated yet at this point. So that when we have a contractor on board, we'll have that pre-construction meeting and figure out those kind of details.
Thanks. All right, and yeah, the rest of what I had today were just, again, typos or just clarifications of numbers, which I'll give you.
Go ahead and hit them, though. I mean, just for
Okay,
the record.
I
since
can go
people are
through
watching.
those if
Yeah.
you want to. And that would
Dale.
be, let's see,
Parking.
yeah, we had a comment on your last round about the acreages, so clearing that up in this submittal too, the non-submerged on the survey is 64.17. This application noted 8.33, the site data table notes 8.45 for the submerged lands, so whichever one is correct, if you could reckon, I think it's probably 8.45, but I don't believe that number is on the survey, but whichever one is correct should be used. The lift station design memorandum notes 408 apartments, just corrected to 404 throughout the report. Maybe, I thought it might be your intent with the 408 that you're trying to account for sewage flow in the community building. If that's the case, just express as equivalent residential or however, just clarify what sewage flow you're calculating there. Yeah, one thing I noticed on the tree planting, it looks like you included the submerged lands acreage for your minimum trees, and you don't have to plant trees for the submerged. So I don't think it makes a big difference, just you might want to correct that. I think you used the whole 72 acres for that. Actual calculations of area and planting area are needed for the retention-detention ponds. So you show that, and it might be in there. I could not find on the table the required 20%, and I gave you the code section to see where that's spelled out of planting along the ponds. I think you meet it, but if you could put that calculation in there. Again, I talked about the traffic control signs, which you'll have to meet. Those details. And the site data table also has some parking for 7,500. It gives a square footage of 7,500 square feet for the clubhouse, but the clubhouse floor plan is over 11,000. But then it gives a number of parking spaces that actually meets the 11,000. So if you could just correct that on the site data table. And that was all I had that I found in the plans, in addition to what we already gave you on the preliminary plan development. So with that, we'll go to Anthony and go through comments.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, Nick?
I just have a few minor comments. Again, Nick Macris, Project Administration. The plans do appear to utilize the appropriate and applicable city standards. I wanted to also bring attention that the off-site force main plan does identify the city's current drainage component crossing, Live Oak Street, being installed right now currently with our Gross and Penn Stormwater Drainage Improvement Project. So when ready, this area will have to need subsequent field survey. Just wanted to bring that to your attention when needed. Also, when ready, the route is also going to need a right-of-way utilization permit for both the stretch on US 19, which is DOT jurisdiction. I don't know if you approached them with any of that, and also the stretch along Live Oak, that city jurisdiction that will be, applied to and reviewed by the city. So when ready, when appropriate, that can be applied for. And I'll just defer to the city's water department for the remaining related, related specs like the lift station, the flows, the velocities, and all that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, as far as for the fire, just a few comments. You showed on the plans, from what I could see, 5 fire hydrants, and I imagine it's probably using the standard fire code as the spacing. But the City of Tarpon's Code of Ordinances, we require a hydrant every 300 feet of travel. So you're basically going to need another 5 hydrants probably. And when we get a better set of plans, we can sit down and figure out where they're going to get laid out at. All the fire mains are required that they be restrained. The bell joints and all that, I want restraints in all joints. And let's see. And the last one is when we put a hydrant in, it has the blue delineator on the street to identify where it's located. And currently, at this point, that's all I have.
Okay. I will kind of interject too. Public Works was not able to be here today. I did not look at the plan set, but I know the last round for this project and on preliminary, they did want detail on the trash compactor, or at least, I don't know if it was specifications. I believe they want to just be sure they can serve that. I don't know if there was a detail on the plan, but yeah, so if we could provide that.
Just a couple of notes, as I'm going through the comprehensive plan, all the policies and everything. In our public schools element, which is still in effect, policy 3.1.6, it does require development projects that are within 2 miles of a school to identify sidewalk gaps and install, to correct those gaps. So we're going to take a deeper look at that and work with Public Works on what those may be, the obvious, but you do have 2 schools that are within that 2-mile radius. So it is a policy in the comp plan that we need to take a look at and figure out how to address. So I do want to bring that to your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Vincent. What are the schools, the 2 schools that we need to?
So you've got Tarpon Elementary right here close by, and then is it Tarpon Fundamental down in?
Tarpon Fundamental, yes, ma'am.
Fundamental, I believe, is within that boundary. It might be just outside of it, but I think it's in that boundary.
And do you measure the 2 miles just on as the crow flies, like a circle?
Doesn't say, so it
That's
just
how
says
you're
within
gonna-
2 miles. So right now, we just took a buffer. I think, the Tarpon Fundamental is really, pretty far out, in my opinion. I think Tarpon Elementary is probably the more direct school of concern. Just looking at, what would be a walking or biking route. Obviously, you've got good access, through the trail. But once you hit Distant, I think would be the normal, the logical travel path, for a child. So you do have some crosswalk issues perhaps there with Distant and Live Oak. And then one side of Distant does not have sidewalks down to the school, one side does. I would also state that, in terms of, long-range planning, we have the Complete Streets evaluation going on with the whole Distant corridor, so it wouldn't make sense perhaps to jump in and construct. So there may be a pay in lieu that then would go into that overall project down the road somewhere. So we'll get you more detail on that.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry I didn't get that to you sooner. It's just, as I've been going through the whole comp plan, I'm, identifying things that are definitely things that we need to address. So, and that one is a construction issue.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank
Okay.
you, Renee. We have a couple comments. These are more geared towards the off-site construction and utility involvement. We would like you to include the sewage flows that are coming from the common areas within the property. I don't think it'll be enough to tip you into the next category, but we want to include those. Any roadway or sidewalk disruption that's involved with the installation of the force main or the reclaim line or the water system shall be the contractor's responsibility for restoration. All utilities must be notified to the city 48 hours before connection is made. So when we get to the point where you guys are going to want to make connection to the existing utilities, let us know 48 hours ahead of time. We would like submittal of all the DEP, back tees, permits, and all that stuff prior to placing in service. There are some specific requirements with the sanitary sewer where you got to provide video and different things like that. So if you have any questions, we can work on that later. And that's pretty much our comments from Public Services.
Okay,
No comments from the building department. None.
No.
all right,
Not as of
that's
yet.
it. Okay, so I guess we're done with comments. Do you guys have any other questions, or?
I have two more questions, and then I'll defer to the project engineer. So the first question is, when's the resubmittal for this?
Well, okay, so the final plan development obviously can't move forward until the preliminary is heard, actually, until it's approved. So if you want to be on the next TRC, is that what you're asking? What's the deadline for the next TRC?
Well, I'm not,
I mean,
I didn't understand if we were just going to resubmit and go back to TRC to review, or if we're moving forward with us making those changes and y'all reviewing individually. And then my other question also is, we don't have any comments from your stormwater folks. We had them on the preliminary, but we don't have them on the final, so when might we?
Sorry.
Do we have
I
those?
just got those and I forgot.
Okay.
So, yeah, so those, I'll get those to you.
Okay, so you do have comments from the
Apparently,
stormwater.
I don't know if the drainage calculations were not in the submittal, so it's really a list of things that you need to submit for them to review again.
Okay.
With respect to whether it comes back to TRC,
I'll field that one.
yeah.
The intent right now would be to get revisions and review them as necessary with the TRC members. I don't think there's anything so drastically changed here that we really need to go back and have another public TRC meeting. So that's the intent right now, is that we would, which we've done with other projects. This one is, this is pretty complete as it is. We don't anticipate that you're going to have to make a lot of changes to the plan that would require coming back and going through another TRC review at this point. So we'll follow on that path. If something changes, then obviously we will, if we feel like we need to, we'll schedule one and move it along. So, but we will continue to, as submissions come in, we will push them out through Connect Tarpon to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. We'll make sure that all correspondence is written and gets noted, whether the review comments, to keep people informed. So that would be the intent right now.
So would it be fair to say, could we have 3 weeks to do the revisions? I don't have my calendar with me, but could we resubmit in 3 weeks from today? Is that going to give you enough time?
That's probably doable.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
3 weeks? Yeah, I guess after we see the drainage, if we
The
think that
drainage
we
plan,
need a little
yeah.
more time, we may want to push that out. But since this is not going to as you said, until the preliminary has gone through the board
Right.
of commissioners, so we'll target for 3 weeks, and then depending on the stormwater comments, if we think we need additional time, we'll talk to you guys about that.
And I'll send you that policy section that I was just talking about with the sidewalks.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna resubmit in 3 weeks, subject to if there's anything more serious in the stormwater comments that we think we need more time. Y'all will distribute that internally to the staff, they'll review it. If you see a need for another TRC, you'll let us know, but it looks like right now, and I think we agree, it doesn't seem like there's a big lot of differences or problems. We have some ticks, we had the same kind of things we had in the preliminary on the acreage. We're fixing all that, and we'll, of course, fix it on the final plan as well. So,
And for staff members that are reviewing, from this point forward, I would ask that, put your reviews in writing, submit them to us, so that we can make sure that we're checking all the boxes. And I would, we are putting that review information up on Connect Tarpon so that the public can follow along with the project and knows what's going on. So I appreciate that. Thanks.
and I guess that was the other question I forgot to ask Ms. Vincent. When do you expect that we would have the written comments from this group and the other departments available?
I'd like to get them to you by Friday. I've got to circle back with those that are absent, especially Public Works, but early next week at the latest.
Okay, that sounds good. Any other questions? Nobody wants to talk except for me today, I guess. Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? All right, TRC is adjourned. Thank you.